Hi, I'm Judy from Resoft. Today I'm going to talk about an open source distributed graph database, NebulaGraph. I'm the product manager of NebulaGraph, and this is my email. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to contact me. And here is the agenda for today. First, we're going to take a look at what is a graph database. I'm going to use an example to explain why a graph database. Then we're going to take a look at graph database market. And last, I will introduce NebulaGraph in detail, including the architecture, the use cases, and the performance and the roadmap. Let's go ahead and get started. What is a graph database? A graph is connected data. Entities in the graph are called nodes. For example, the person nodes and the company nodes in this figure. An edge is to connect two nodes. The node's edge indicates this person knows this person. The works at edge indicates this person works at this company. Graph database is dealing for relationships between entities. Actually, graph databases have been used every day. The Facebook function, people you may know, is built on a graph database. The Amazon function, people who bought this item also bought, is built on a graph database. Why we need a graph database? Consider the social network scenario shown here. There are two kinds of entities, users and tweets. A user can follow other users. They can also post a tweet, like or comment other people's tweets. In order to find people who like this tweet also like, for relational databases, usually one has to join the like, user, and tweets as data are organized in tables and rows. However, the join is heavy, especially when the dataset is large and it results in poor performance. Relational databases are poor at handling relationships. For graph databases, by contrast, finding people who like this tweet also like requires just a two-hop traversal. As relationships are stored at the individual record level, iteration in any direction through topology of vertices and edges is fast. Graph databases are purpose-built to handle connected data. Today, we see graph databases in every industry like social network, retail, and finance. Many major companies like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn have already adopted graph databases. This figure is from dbengines.com. It reflects the popularity change of different database categories from 2013 to July 2020. According to this figure, graph database enjoys its popularity among all other database categories. As verified market research reports, graph database market was valued at more than 300 million in 2018. It is expected to grow significantly, reaching an estimated value of 4 billion by 2026. To help contribute the growth of development of graph database, Resoft was established in 2018. Our CEO and founder, Sherman, has more than 10 years experience in graph database development. He designed and led development of distributed graph index engine at Facebook, and then headed graph computing and storage division at Ant Financial. Currently was striving to build a powerful and user-friendly graph database. Its mission is to help businesses uncover the value of connected data. In 2019, our first product, NebulaGraph, an open-source distributed graph database, was released. The first pull request on GitHub was merged in September 2018, and the first version was released in May 2019. Why open source? The first reason is to make the graph technology more accessible to the world, so more business can benefit from this technology. The second is to encourage more people to get involved. The knowledge is shared, and the entire community can benefit from the collective innovation, so we choose to make it open source. Next, I'm going to introduce NebulaGraph in detail. A fully deployed NebulaGraph cluster contains three services, namely meta service, query service, and storage service. NebulaGraph divides the query execution and the graph storage into two separate services, so query layer and the storage layer can be expanded or shrink independently, which makes the linear horizontal expansion possible. The meta service works as the cluster manager of NebulaGraph. It not only manages the metadata, such as schema and graph partition information, but also controls the whole data movement and load balancing. The meta service is of a follow leader architecture, which guarantees high availability. The query service is mainly responsible for parsing NGOL, specifying and optimizing query plan, and generating executor. Each query service host runs a stateless query engine and will never communicate with each other. They only read the meta information from the meta service and interact with storage service. The query engine takes the request from the client, passes the statement, and generate the AST. Then the AST will be handed over to the execution planner and the optimizer. The final AST will be passed to the executors. The storage service is designed to be a shared nothing distributed architecture. The graph data are hashed into multiple partitions, each partition corresponding to a graph group. Multi-graph group increases the concurrency, as well as provides consistent read and write and failover capability. And now NebulaGraph is production ready. The internet companies like Tencent, Meituan, and WeBank have already deployed NebulaGraph in production environments. Let's take a look at some specific scenarios. The first one I'm going to talk about is fraud prevention. Large financial institutions must traverse countless numbers of transactions to piece together potential crimes and understand how combination of transactions and devices might be related to a single fraud scheme. This scenario can be easily modeled as graph. With NebulaGraph, business can detect fraud rings and other sophisticated scams in real time after characterizing the behavior of the fraud act. Another use case I'm going to talk about is the real-time recommendations. NebulaGraph offers the ability to instantly capture the real-time information to resemble a given visitor, such as the customer's purchase history, search history, visit history, and their social network, something that batch processing can accomplish. Another use case is question answering system. When we ask a question, the natural language question will be translated into a form of knowledge graph query by the semantic parser. During the semantic parsing process, NebulaGraph comes up with the hyperlinks and synonyms. These all related items and keeps up with the performance. Once we get the output of the semantic parser, the query will be executed over the knowledge graph stored in NebulaGraph. NebulaGraph is born for this use case. One of the main reasons our users choose NebulaGraph is for its high performance. This benchmark is from Tencent Cloud Team. It compares NebulaGraph with Neo4j and HugeGraph, a fork of JNSGraph. This test is performed against data import performance, 1-hop query latency, 2-hop query latency, and shared frames query latency. As you can see from the diagram, in terms of data import performance, NebulaGraph is a bit slower than Neo4j when the data size is small. However, when the data size reaches 8 billion, NebulaGraph is much faster than the other two. In fundamental queries like 1-hop graph traversal, 2-hop graph traversal, and shared frames queries, NebulaGraph enjoys its low latency, especially the 2-hop graph traversal. And this is the roadmap of NebulaGraph. In May 2019, the alpha version was released. In June 2020, the first GA version was available. The second GA version will be released by the end of 2020. At that time, the cloud service is estimated to be available. With cloud service, NebulaGraph can be deployed on demand and built in seconds. Nowadays, the world is becoming connected. Graph is everywhere. As a component of the big data ecosystem, Vsoft Inc. is striving to help business uncover the value of connected data. Our mission is to unleash the power of connections. If you are interested in getting started with NebulaGraph, you can visit our website and download it. It's totally for free. There are tutorials and quick start pages. If you have some questions, feel free to reach out for us. And that's all for today. Hope you enjoy this session, and thank you.